Welcome to the Build Your Private Practice podcast, a space for Canadian therapists who want to support others, make an impact, and build a sustainable practice that works for them too. I'm your host, Liane Wood, a registered psychotherapist, group practice owner, and business mentor, and I'm here to help you build a private practice that allows you to keep doing the work you love without burning out. Because the people who need your help the most are counting on you, and you deserve a practice that supports you while you support them. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the Build Your Private Practice podcast. I am so glad that you're here with us today. This episode is going to be a little different in the best way possible. If you have ever felt confused about your finances or hesitant about money decisions or stuck in the I'm just not good with money mindset, this conversation is going to open up new doors for you. I am joined by Robin Valadares, a healthcare professional with a deep passion for helping others build better relationships with money. And he's here to walk us through how we as therapists and helpers can take charge of our financial lives, shift the way we think about money, and start building the kind of financial foundation that supports our well-being and long-term goals. We're going to dive into everything from the mindset traps many of us fall into to tangible strategies you can start implementing right away. Whether you're budgeting for the first time, planning for the future, or dreaming about income beyond one-to-one therapy sessions. And so this episode is going to leave you not just inspired, but with a real plan of attack to start making confident money moves. So welcome, Robin. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Leanne. As you can probably tell, I'm grinning about this because anytime I get the opportunity to speak about personal finance, A, it's something that's unfamiliar to us as health professionals, and B, I truly believe it can impact your life kind of actually more than your career if you can utilize some of the skills effectively and consistently.
Amazing. I'd love it, Robin, if you could maybe just start off by telling our community a little bit about you.
Absolutely. I'm a physiotherapist by trade. I'm still actively practicing. I practice here in Southern Ontario, have been for the last 13 years. Aside from that, I realized, let's say, upon graduating physiotherapy school, even my undergrad, that I knew nothing about money, yet it was innately involved with every one of my interactions with life, whether it's buying a new pair of clothes, whether it's going out to eat, or it's paying my licensing dues, or buying a laptop. Money was the heart there, but I had no idea how it worked. And we didn't really get taught it in your high school, in your undergrad, in your postgrad, in your CEU courses. No one really teaches you about how money works, yet it's so involved in our day-to-day life.
Mm.
And I was in a position where I was told one or asked one question upon my graduating year from my preceptor or my clinical instructor at the time. Her name was Margaret, and her and I are still good friends. She just really hit the light bulb moment for me. She said, Robin, look around you. And this is my sixth unit, my second year of my master's. Next month, I'm graduating, going into the real life, shall we say. She said, Robin, look around you. Now, can you tell me how many people who are actively practicing, meaning using the hands-on skills, the assessment skills as a physiotherapist, over the age of 50, 55, or 60? And I looked around the clinic when I was at, I remember for the other 4 or 5 units I was volunteering at, I remember the time I spent in undergrad volunteering. I could think of maybe five people out of maybe the hundreds that I met that were north of 55, 60 practicing. And she said, yes, that's correct. Your ability to practice as a physiotherapist is compressed relative to some of your peers, whether they're in, let's say, mental health, whether they're in accounting, whether they're engineer, whether they're a lawyer. It's a spiritual grind, as we know. It's an emotional grind, being a therapist, taking on people's burdens, the
Mhm,
physical grind, working on actual bodies, and
mhm,
managing caseloads. She said, you have to understand what you're going to do next if you can't work forever as you thought you would. And I'm like,
mm,
oh gosh, I have to understand how money works for me. And then if I can understand how it works for me, I can help people get that facet of their education under their belt.
mhm. Amazing. Amazing. Wow. I hadn't considered that for physiotherapists. As you're talking, then I get start thinking about the physios over my life, that I've gone to, and I'm thinking, yeah, no, you're right. They're all
Physio, massage, athletic therapists, osteopathy specialists, anything
Yeah.
with kind of hands-on tends to they don't have a huge tenure of career.
Right, right. Okay, super interesting. That sounds like it was a real light bulb or turning point for you, Robin. And like for you, like personally, just thinking about, your own yourself and your own kind of career path, that type of thing. But I'm super curious, what led you to kind of focusing in on helping healthcare professionals with their finances?
Great question. So this is me, let's say the first 5, 6 years of my career. I'm really trying to build up my clinical toolkit, as they say, get my
Yeah.
acupuncture, my concussion, my golf rehab skill set so I can be the best practitioner. And when you have conversations with your peers about courses or go to parties or meetups, you tend to talk about what you're doing, your clinical practice. But then I started talking about investing money
Mm,
because I was reading about it, learning about it. But my
yeah.
peers couldn't keep up with the conversation because they had no idea. So I'm like,
Mm,
okay, if my colleagues that I've gone to school with, they're intellectually gifted, they're curious people, they're focused, have
yeah.
no idea how money impacts their lives, how many other people are struggling with it? So
Mm,
then I was like, okay, this is the back of my head. And the real push, the trigger, the flick of the switch
yeah.
was the pandemic. We were
Oh,
closed in our practice for 3 months. It's my
oh,
first time in my adult life that you're
yes.
told you can't go to work, but you're
Yeah.
fully physically capable to do so. So you're like, okay,
Yeah.
how do I use this time? And I had no idea the benefits of YouTube until that year, where I was like, okay, let's go down the YouTube rabbit hole, how I can learn myself, and then how do I set up a platform now I have the ample time to do so, and
Hmm.
maybe more of the priority to do so as well, to create this for my peers. Because I know my physio colleagues are struggling with it. I
Hmm.
definitely know my social work colleagues are struggling with it. I know most health professionals, because that undergrad, postgrad, this isn't there in the curriculum. So if I can create a platform to help them, guess what? That's what I'm going to do.
Right, right. Yeah, the pandemic really shifted a lot of things for people, didn't it? Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah. I know it did for me too. Prior to the pandemic, my practice was all in person. Um,
Okay.
and so I think, I mean, I think mental health therapists in a way had a little bit of an advantage. It was easier for us to switch to online, but I distinctly remember that time with clients being resistant to the idea,
Mm,
and if you remember right back to the very beginning, we were only supposed to be shut down for 2 weeks, right?
right.
I had
Correct.
so many clients saying, I'll just book back with you in 2 weeks.
No big deal. Two
No big
weeks.
deal, it's 2 weeks. And so even though it was, quote unquote easier for mental health therapists to transition to virtual, there was still like I don't know, like a resistance or a like, just kind of like getting people to be okay with virtual offerings. So yeah, yeah, but like, yeah, what an opportunity also for I think all of us to shift and make changes. But that sounds amazing how you took that time and really made the most of it.
Thank you. And I think you're speaking to that mindset shift, right? You're so used to seeing a practitioner in person and you think the value is derived in person, but the value
Yes,
is the connection. And if you can show
exactly.
there's still value outside of that physical connection, you can still get it, then hey, that's that mindset shift. Same with the money mindset shift. It's like a very similar parallel.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. What would you say, Robin, are some of the most common financial pain points or mistakes that you see therapists and healthcare professionals making?
Yeah, I also love this question because I think we default to the assumption that our career will forever bring us income. And we
Mm,
don't look at some of the outlier cases of injury,
mhm,
loss of job, a pandemic, and having these secondary or tertiary plans. Because
mhm,
if you have a home, mortgage obligation, children, and your job is taken from you either because of your injury or a pandemic, those obligations still persist, but your level of income to meet that does not. So what do? Sometimes you have to go into more debt, and that spiral may escalate. So not understanding the importance is one thing. Pushing it off and procrastinating is another I see often.
mm,
It was like, okay, I'm 25 years old, I'm 35 years old. I don't need to think about retirement planning. I'll do that when I'm 50, like my parents did, and they're fine. But
mhm,
that's a poor assumption because you can't forecast what's going to happen from 25 to 35. Life could change drastically and you don't have a backup plan. And you
right,
don't leverage or utilize compound interest. And if you can see a compound interest graph, just go on Google, type in compound interest graph or curve, and you can see the gains, the exponential gains after an inflection point based on how much time you have invested.
mm,
So pushing it off is a big factor.
yeah,
And the last one's simple, but it takes some introspection. And some of us struggle with introspection because we have to look deep into who we are. And this is
mhm,
not more of a spiritual thing or emotional, but it's a spending thing. look at where your money is going on a month to month basis. And what it might tell you is what your priorities are and what your habits are. And they may not align with your identity, but where your money goes shows kind of the person you are. Whether it's, hey, I like to eat fast food, I don't have a gym membership, I like to go out, I buy shoes, whatever it is, doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means if you're a health professional, it's like I would eat well and do well. But if you're not backing up with your spending, it looks like you're two different people that way. So not
Yeah.
having a budget is really something that people struggle with because it takes introspection to know what you're doing with your money and then realizing, is that what I want to be doing, or is it something I'm just doing innately and automatically?
Yeah, I think like just when you were talking about budget, I'm thinking there's so many people that go when you
Correct.
hear the budget word, and I think you're absolutely right with tracking your spending to understand how you do spend your money. And I think it's one of those kind of painful things for people, right? To really look at and begin to understand for themselves where like what they're doing and how they're spending their money. Mhm.
I
Yeah,
love this. And if I can elaborate further, and I
yeah,
think the challenge with us as health professionals is that either through being indoctrinated in certain societal norms, the expectation is if I want to make more money or keep more money, my
yeah,
only lever is to earn more money. And how do I do that, man? Either I see more people per hour,
yeah,
okay, I charge them more per visit, or I work more hours in the day or more days of the week. And that
yes,
is a recipe for burnout. You just get the
absolutely.
straight path to burnout. So we
Hmm.
say, okay, we can only earn more money if we want to keep more money. When have you heard about spending less to make that delta or that difference between earning
Hmm.
and spending, that difference grow? No one talks about, hey, let me spend less so then I keep more money. No, no, no. I'd rather work more, burn myself out to make more money because that's the hustle grind mentality versus being smart with my money, allocating it effectively. If you can do that, guess what? You don't have to work as hard. You'll enjoy your practice better. You'll have more meaning and purpose. And then you're probably more financially secure.
Exactly, exactly. Oh, I love this conversation. Love this conversation. You always have amazing insights, Robin.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm curious, if someone listening to this is kind of feeling financially overwhelmed or really unsure where to start, what areas should they focus on that really could make a world of difference?
I don't want to be philosophical, but I think this will hit with
Mm,
everybody if they do some thinking. Think
mhm,
about rehab, think about mental health, think about any sort of healthcare specialty. Your outcome is directly related to your outlook. What I mean by that is if I think after my knee surgery, I'm going to get better and I have a positive motivation to put effort in, what is the probability of my success? Higher than if I did the opposite of being very pessimistic about my rehab.
right.
Okay. Same with money mindset. You have to have a good relationship with how you spend, how you make money, and what is your thought process behind money. You could have a growth mentality, which is the ability to nurture, grow our skill sets, or
Yeah.
the fixed or scarcity mentality saying, one opportunity, all I'm done with, I can't grow it. If you adopt the growth mentality, guess what? You're going to have more probabilities of success than the scarcity mindset. So understanding your relationship with money, how your parents dealt with it, how your colleagues, your spouse, your partners deal with it, and then your own internal, hey, I have $1,000 in the bank. I feel uncomfortable with that. I need to spend it for some reason. Why do you need to spend it? Can you save it? Do you know what that is? Can you invest it? Do you know how to do so? And if you don't, people are like, oh, I've had this nervous reaction to having money in my account. I want to spend it and get back to zero. And that's
Mhm,
that relationship with money.
mhm,
So where to start would be, hey, how do you deal with money? What is your background with it?
mhm,
Reading a great book called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel is a great fundamental step. That
mhm,
and Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki really teaches you about the mentality around money.
mhm.
And then the next step is, okay, now I understand how I deal with it, the anxiety, the grief, the excitement around money. Now, what do I have in my accounts? What do I earn in a given month? What do I spend? Where is it going? What's my difference? Is it a surplus? Is it a net neutral? Is it a deficit? If it's a surplus, then you can allocate it. If it's a deficit, okay, I'm spending a lot more than I earn. That's no good to me. No point investing because I'm paying out X, Y, and Z. So it's understanding that, and then you can go to the next step in terms of, okay, now I need to allocate it based on my goals.
Amazing. I think you really hit on something there when you were talking about, if you have $1,000 in your account and you're uncomfortable with that money. being there, and this desire or this almost this compulsion or need to spend it. As you were talking, I'm trying to remember and I can't remember, so I apologize to whoever wrote this. But I was reading somewhere, this is quite a while ago, about set points and the idea that we all have set points in different areas of our lives. It could be, with our bodies, with our physical weight. We our set point. We're comfortable being at a certain weight, and if we gain weight, we're not comfortable. If we lose weight, we're going to put that weight back on to get back there, and that can easily transfer over as well into our finances. To what you were saying, if you're used to your bank account being at zero or whatever number it is, and you have more money in there, then there can be this and it's not even a conscious. The amazing thing to me is that it's not even conscious, right? Like we don't even actually think, I need to go spend the money. It's this very subconscious thing, that is happening. And so when I was reading this, the idea was, and it was around money, it was like, you know what? Get comfortable with having more money in your bank account, right? Like if you have more money come in, realize that that's your new set point, right? So if all of a sudden you have $10,000 in your bank account, that's your new zero.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And then take yourself out of the equation sometimes. Like we can, if you go down and go shopping and you go into the aisle checkout and they have all these impulse buys there, and you're that type of person who buys four Snickers and a pack of gum, guess what? Maybe you should go to self checkout and take yourself out of that equation so you don't have that temptation.
Right.
With money, is taking yourself out of the equation. So I get paid on every second Friday. I get $1,000. I don't want to go to my checking account. I'm going automatically to my savings account, and then that's going to my investing account without me ever putting my hands on it. So it's done for you. That temptation is gone because you set
Right.
yourself up for success that way.
Yeah. So important. So important. I love that the automatic piece of
Yeah,
happening with your finances, kind of out of sight, out of mind, right? If you don't know that it's there, you're not gonna spend it, right? But I mean,
correct.
you do know that it's there, but if it's not, readily attached to your card, your debit card or whatever, then it's
Yeah.
a little more challenging.
And it'll make it harder for you after it's an investing account. You're like, do I really want to transfer it back to my checking account and then spend it? You probably
Yeah,
say, no, I'll just leave it there and let it grow. Perfect.
exactly, exactly. Oh, Robin, thank you. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
so much for joining me here today and bringing such a grounded, refreshing perspective on money. I know that this topic can feel heavy and even sometimes a bit taboo for many people, but you've given us permission to look at it differently, and that is such a gift. You have reminded us that money doesn't have to be something we fear or avoid. It can actually be a tool for creating freedom, security, and possibility, not just in our practices, but in our lives. So, we're going to include all the links in the show notes so listeners can connect with you, learn more about your work, and take the next step forward with financial empowerment. And if you are listening to this right now and thinking, wow, I needed to hear this, please share this episode with a colleague. Leave us a quick review and comment because we love hearing what's resonated with you. So until next time, keep building a practice that supports the life that you want to live. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Build Your Private Practice podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a fellow Canadian therapist who needs this. And remember, the work you do matters. Keep showing up, keep holding space, and keep building a practice that works for you. If you're looking for practical tools or support to grow your practice with more clarity and confidence, head to buildyourprivatepractice.ca. There's lots waiting for you there. I'll see you next time.